Hello everyone, I'm Austin with Axiom Tool Group, and today we're going to be going over the unboxing and assembly of an ICONIC Series machine. If you've recently purchased a machine and you're waiting on it to arrive, this is probably what you'll see when it comes to you. One thing to take note is you always want to very carefully inspect all of your boxes just to make sure you don't have any damage before accepting. So if you've decided to purchase your machine with a stand, what you're going to see is 3 boxes packaged on top of the ICONIC machine. You're going to have your stand body, the rails of your stand, and if you decided to purchase a toolbox, you'll see it here as well. So let's get started by putting the stand together. We got a couple tools that we'll need for this operation, and then we're going to go ahead and get the machine out of the box and set it up on the stand. So inside your stand box, if you decided to purchase the machine without a toolbox, you're going to have in here a shelf. This is for holding on to your control box when you eventually put the stand together. All of your stand hardware is going to be here, so we'll set that off to the side for now. So the first thing I always like to do is just flip this up on end. We're going to go ahead and assemble the casters first, followed by the leveling feet. We're going to use a 10mm to go ahead and tighten these down. Now if the casters are in place, we can go ahead and run our jam nut down our leveling foot and go ahead and install that leveling foot. Alright, so with our last leveling foot in, and our casters are on, it's time to put the rails on. Now once the stand is on the ground, now we can go ahead and tighten down all those 13mm bolts. If you purchase your machine with a toolbox, you're not going to need this, but if you purchase your machine without a toolbox, you're going to have received this shelf included in the stand box. Now this shelf is what your white controller, or your handheld controller tower, is going to go ahead and rest on when it's mounted in the stand. Now if you purchase a toolbox with your machine, it's a good idea to go ahead and get that set into position now. So now that our stand has been completely assembled, it's time to unbox the machine. So what you're going to find on the inside once you pop the lid on the ICONIC box is you're going to have 4 boxes in here essentially. The 2 smaller ones are going to be your gantry covers that go on each side of the machine after full assembly has been completed. The larger box here is going to have your large control tower in it, your handheld controller, and your user's manual. The smaller box that you're going to have on top of the table is also going to have your spindle assembly, which will need to be assembled. We'll walk through that process and show you step by step how you get the machine fully assembled and ready for running operations. If you decided to purchase any accessories with your machine at the time of purchase, accessories are going to be located in 2 different places. One, inside the body of your stand box. So if you open that up, you'll probably have found a lot of your accessories are located in there. If you did not purchase a stand with your machine at the time of purchase, they're going to be located inside the box itself. So the first step here in assembly process for the machine itself is we're going to want to remove these 6 cap screws here. These are going to be a 4mm cap screw, which these should just be finger tight in here. Now there are locating pins there, so just make sure everything drops in. It should seat nice and tight and your holes should all line here. With that in position, we can go ahead and put in our 4mm cap screws back in place. So there is one here in the middle. It might be a little bit hard to get to, just depends on where your spindle was last in position. So what you can do to get this one in is if you just come to the ball screw over here on this side, you can go ahead and rotate the ball screw by hand, and that will move your Z position down a little bit further so you can get that cap screw in place. I'm going to move it so it's about in the middle here. Now remember, these are going into aluminum, so these don't need to be super crazy tight here, but they do need to be snug. All right, and that's nice and tight. Okay, so now that that's done, we're just gonna grab a gantry leg here and just lift up. The one thing you do want to take note is just make sure your wires don't get pinched here as the gantry comes up. So now that our gantry is up in position, it's time to secure it so that it's not rocking back and forth because it was laid down. So on each side, you're gonna have 4 cap screws. These are your small 1-inch, and then the larger bolt. The larger bolt's gonna go in here. And you may have to lift up on the gantry just slightly so that can align itself. Now once that's in, your 4 other smaller bolts are just going to go into position right next to it. And we'll go ahead and attach our controller cable to the front of our control box. Silver end should always go on the white control box side, and the black plastic end goes on the bottom of your handheld controller. Now, if you purchase a pendant protector as well with your machine, you want to go ahead and put that on first before locking this in place here. All right, so just the last step in the process here is we'll need our 2.5mm Allen wrench and our last set of cap screws, and we'll grab those gantry leg covers, go ahead and get them mounted on the side of the machine. So when you're at the back of your machine, you're going to have your 2 Canon plugs coming off of the back of your white control box. Those plug directly into the back of your machine. The larger Canon plug is going to be all of your control movements for your stepper motors, and then your smaller one is just your spindle. We'll get both of these plugged in and lock the securing nut in place. And then the only other cord that you're going to have coming off the back here is going to be your standard 110 outlet plug. Included in the box of your ICONIC machine, you're going to have a couple items. Of course, your user manual, your set of wrenches, your touch-off puck, your handheld controller, 2 ER11 collets, both 1/8 and 1/4 inch, and your collet nut. Thank you everybody for joining us today for this assembly video for this ICONIC Series machine. We hope you learned something, and we hope we showed you how easy it is to actually get this machine out of the box and set up.